Good morning, fret friends, and today we have a new project, and it's might confuse you, this one. What do we think this is? Any clues? You can see we have active pickups, active circuits in there. We have all EMGs, fantastic looking guitar body there. Let me show you that spalting or whatever it is on that maple neck. How beautiful is that? And there you go, some nice Sperzel locking tuners. And do we know what it is yet? And I'm going to show you what it is. And this might confuse some people. There you go. What do you think to that? You think, I don't know that model. I don't know the model. And I don't really know anything about Suhr guitars. But this is, it's not a Suhr guitar. It's actually a Cort. And the owner decided he wants to put Suhr on the headstock, which is anyone's right if that's what they want to do. Who are we to judge? Very heavy guitar, fantastically well made, great parts, and it has come in for an intensive setup. New client contacted me a couple of weeks ago, blah 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 blah, I've seen your videos, blah 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 blah, and he bought this in last week. What do I like about this guitar? Well, it looks fantastic. Some nice chunky frets on there, a little bit flat, but he has come in no holds barred. He says just do on that guitar what needs doing. I also see that the truss rod is one of these adjustable types at this end, which is fantastic. I love these, very similar to the Levinson blades, have that kind of truss rod adjuster, and it makes things a lot easier because you just drop in some kind of key, Allen key or whatever in there and just turn it, or a screwdriver, anything, and it makes it really easier to set the truss rod. So I really like that. It also doesn't compromise anything at this end, where this is one of your weakest points around here. It's not compromised by having a hole drilled in there. So that makes things a lot easier. So what really needs doing? Well, I don't know. I did give it a little once over when the owner of the guitar was here. Didn't notice anything untoward. There may be a fret or two needs a bit of work, so we are going for the intensive setup. I've not had it plugged in yet, so I don't know if the electrics, there's a problem with any of the electrics. Should imagine they're okay. There is a, I don't know if that's a kill switch. You might have told me if that's a kill switch or not. I'm not sure. Don't know what it does. I'll find out when I've got it plugged in. But again, like I say, this is having the intensive setup. So I think I'll crack on with it. It needs a bit of a clean. The radius, the saddles are not radius correctly at all. They are all over the place. So I will set that. The tremolo, there's no floating option on this tremolo. It has to be strapped back to the body. I will give an option. I'll set it pretty light so you can use the tremolo if need be, but make sure there's enough pull on the springs to pull it right back to the body. So you will have an option there. There's no option at all for pullback on that tremolo. So that is the way we are going to leave it, because we can't really alter anything. Action looks pretty low. We will do our best to keep it low. There's a tiny bit of relief in there, so it looks like the truss rod is set fine anyway. I shall go across with a fret rocker and check the frets for level, and any that need leveling. There will be a couple, I'm sure. We will level. The fingerboard is a little bit grimy, that does need cleaning, and the frets also need polishing. If I have to do any intensive work on the neck, I will remove the neck because it's a 4-bolt affair. And that really is as much as I can say and do right now. So I'm going to get it plugged in, have a little listen, and I will commence with getting this all set up properly. Should be a nice tidy one, this. I'm expecting it not to be too difficult. A couple of hours, you know, and I'm sure everything is going to be good. So this video is going to be quite a short one if we have no problems. I'm not expecting any problems, but you never know. If we do come across something that needs rectification or a little bit of extra work, I will come back and explain why that needs doing, and I will show how and why it needs doing as well. So stay tuned and I'll be back with an update shortly. So I've had the guitar plugged in and there are problems with the electrics. This volume knob is loose. Look. So that's causing a problem. They both pots crackle. This, I don't know what it does, but in the down position it kind of doubles the volume. So whether it's a EQ or solo boost or whatever, I'm not sure. That's what it seems to do. Do we split pickups when we have active pickups in there? I'm not sure. It's not something I do. I've just tried this with a brand new pedal, a pedal I had delivered today, which is built by a guy called Bartek in Poland. It's a clone, and on this side, it's two stacked overdrives. On this side you have a Zen Drive clone, and on this side you have a Timmy clone. The EQ options, or the thingy options for the Zen Drive are the top one. It's a two-way, and you have the three-way for the Timmy, which is this side. These are all different, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not quite sure. I know what they are, I just can't think of it right now. So I've had a go with it through that. This pedal is brilliant. Cost me something like £96 delivered from Poland, and I have a Zen Drive going into a Timmy drive. I can use the Zen Drive on its own, the Timmy on its own, or if I use both together, it is stacked Zen Drive into Timmy, which is a fantastic combination. Great pedal. Not tried it in my Valve on the clean channel yet, which I'm really looking forward to doing. I've had a little piddle about with the drive settings, and that's how I have it set at the moment, but I've only played this for a little tranny and little tranny is not ideal. Anyway, this is supposed to be about the guitar, not this pedal. I'll do a separate review on this pedal later. So the guitar, yes, we have a problem with the electric, so I'll be sorting those out. I've been across with Fret Rocker. There are at least two or three frets out of whack. So what we're going to do is we'll get the strings off, get my neck dead straight, and we'll go across with Fret Rocker to see where we are. So yes, the main thing on this is going to be to get the electrics right. I shall remove the knobs, we shall tighten up the pots, and we'll get some switch cleaner in there. Some service oil is the one I use. So I'm going to crack on with that, so make sure you check back shortly. So I've moved the camera just so we can go across these frets with the Fret Rocker, just to show how many high ones there are. I've cleaned the nut slots slightly. I've also, you'll see, I've sprayed the whole fingerboard in mineral oil, that you know it as lemon oil, especially formulated for guitar necks. It's not lemon oil because that would rip your guitar to pieces. It has a drop of lemon in there to make it smell nice, that's it. Especially formulated for guitar necks, for rosewood and ebony. Been across with the notched straight edge, just to make sure that the neck is straight. I didn't have to touch the truss rod. Once the string tension was off, the relief was out of the guitar. There is an absolute gnat's amount, like a hair's amount of relief in there, which is flat enough to check these frets. And I'm only going to go across the middle. I already know there are 4 frets need leveling on this. I'll just explain how this works. Here's one. I'll explain how it works. We have 4 edges on this. They are milled perfectly flat, and we do 3 frets at a time. The further up the neck we go, the shorter the length we use, and we check 3 frets at a time. And if we get a rock, we know the middle one is high and it needs attention. A little bit there. That's 2. I'm going to just check in the centre. I'll check the edges afterwards. There's another. That's 3. So far so good. I know the last one's high. There we go. We have 4 high frets that need attention. Any more than 4 or 5, I would recommend a complete fret level along the whole length, because if I alter 1 fret, it takes them off the top of it, it could alter how these are in relation to the other ones around it. So normally, if we take a lot off 1, where that was high, that then becomes lower than that, that then becomes high, and we have to alter that. So once I get to 4 or 5, I say, look, I can't do that, I have to do the whole lot, and you have to price the job up differently, and we have to go for a complete fret level. This does not need a complete fret level. I can do this 4 frets by hand. I'm going to let this oil soak in for another 10 minutes or so, let get all that grime out, and I'll come and wipe it off, because all this dark stuff on here is your finger grime. It's all the sweat and gunk from your fingers, and it builds up over time. And I know our guitar has been treated by looking at this, because normally I would lemon oil my fingerboards at least once or maybe even twice a year. What this does is it'll soak in, it'll lift out all that grime. I'll be able to wipe it off, and I'll go in with some steel wool, get it all out, and I'll go with another coating of this, let it soak in, and it will nourish the wood, stop it from going brittle. So I'm going to crack on. I think I'm going to remove the neck from the body. It makes the job a lot easier to do, because I don't have to watch my files when I'm working over a body. I can also get on with working with the electrics and getting these pots sorted out in a different area of the workshop. So that is what I'm going to do, so back soon. So I've levelled the frets but needed levelling. I've re-crowned them using just the crowning file, which has gone really well, been across with the fret rocker. Like I say, with 4 frets needed doing, but once I'd levelled the ones that needed doing, the ones around them also needed a bit of a tweak. So I've probably done 6 or 7 altogether, but the frets are all level and all re-crowned. You'll see we have a nice sheen on the neck because once I cleaned it with lemon oil, I got all the grime off using some steel wool, and then wiped it off, and then I've gone and sprayed more lemon oil over the surface of a fingerboard. And why I polish the frets, just checking that they're all level, and they are. But why I polish the frets, I'll let that oil soak in, because this is now the cleaning part of the process. The first part, well, this is a nourishing part of the process, should I say. Cleaning part done, where I got all the grime off, and we took it all off with some steel wool, just got it all out, cleaned it, wiped it, and applied another coat of mineral oil so that can soak into the wood, and that is now nourishing the wood. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to polish the frets just using steel wool, finest grade steel wool, grade 0000, super fine. It's the finest stuff you can get. It's fantastic. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we're not going to rub into the fingerboard while we're doing it and put lines that way, because the steel wool will still cut. So what we do is we use what we call is a fret guard, piece of steel with a slot cut inside. It has a side there, it's got a burr sticking out. We don't use it, I turn it over and use it upside down. And what we're going to do is we're going to guard the fingerboard while we polish the frets. Now I need to find out what I've done with a piece of steel wool I was going to use, because I've just used it momentarily. And there you go, always stuck to the rag. And what we're going to do is we're going to start at this end and we're just going to polish the frets. And it's not a difficult job and it doesn't take that long, but we just get right into the corners there and across the top, and that's it. And once it's done, we move along, move on to the next one. Once we get to this end where we can use a different fret guard, we'll use the thicker one, and I do have one in here. And the reason I'm using the black ones is they have a wider fret slot. That's the side with the burr, it's the side without the burr, so we use these upside down, and when we get to this end we'll use this one. These other ones are for thinner, finer slots. They were frets. They won't go over these properly, they just about go over, but not quite. I very rarely use these because a lot of the frets I tend to get in are normally wider than 2.5mm. So, like I say, I'm going to crack on with that, get them all done. Once that's done, I shall move on to the electrics. We'll get the electrics sorted out, get the pots cleaned up, get the pots tightened, and we'll check the electrics, and once that's all done, we will put the guitar back together. Right then guys, on to the electrics, which I've already done. I've gone in with some service old switch cleaner. I've cleaned up all the contacts on the switch, inside of the pots, so we now have no crackling or scratching anywhere. And the coil split, everything's working fine. Let's show we're all working fine. That's a coil split pulled up, by the way. I'll show you. I'll just pause 1 second. Sorry about that, I had to just leave the room for a second. So here we go, here we are back again. Let's start at the neck pickup. Neck pickup on, all the others off. Should be neck and bridge, middle. Bridge off, yeah, this should be just middle. Fantastic. This should be bridge and middle. That one side is off. Let's do the coil split, I believe. There you go. And just bridge pickup. We'll have one coil off, one coil on, both coils on. There you go. We'll go with tone. This way, tone. And middle. Volume, hang on, let's get up there, volume again, and this way. So all the electrics are working absolutely fine. We have no crackle anymore on the pots, probably a little bit on there. That is dirty, dirt on the contacts. I'll get some more switch cleaner in there. Let's see what we can do. We may not be able to eradicate all of it, but we should be able to get rid of most of it. So again, got a little more switch cleaner right inside the pot there. Sometimes we need to give it a couple of squirts. See where we are. It will be easy to remove that pot and get right inside. I don't think we're going to get right inside anyway. I'll just keep putting switch cleaner in there. Sometimes we go in from the top. I'll try and get in through there. Maybe somewhere down the line we could look at changing that pot. Not perfect, is it? I'll keep putting switch cleaner in there. Let's see how we get on. See if we can get that fixed. And there we go. I decided to do the right thing, to remove the pot, to get right in there and get it all cleaned up. Look at that. No scratching at all now. I'll whiz it back in. Absolutely fantastic. Really pleased with that. Just to make sure, just to prove that I'm not kidding anyone. Pickups are on, volume, and we are giving it a full sweep. So that is it, all the crackling and scratching gone off the pot. I will try and find the washers that have fell about inside this cavity here. Very busy inside this cavity because it's a solderless type of pot on the tone there. Not my recommended gubbins, but you know, each to their own. So I'm going to get it back together, put the guitar back together, and we'll get it all set up. And there we are. Tone, beautiful. Volume, beautiful. Can't do anything about that. I've already given it a squirt with this. I'll give another squirt from behind, see what I can do, but got volume and tone sorted out. See what I can do with that. So, getting towards the end of this project now, I'm just going to show you the guitar now. I've polished up the bridge, cleaned the guitar, polished the frets, cleaned the fingerboard, also cleaned the headstock area, tightened up all the nuts on there. I've cleaned the back. For cleaning guitars, I use proper formula Dunlop guitar polish kit. Doesn't take too long, just give it a wipe over with a good lint-free cloth. We have a carnauba wax, which I didn't use on this, I didn't need to, but I did use the polish and cleaner to give it a good clean. The guitar looks fabulous, just ready now to put on some Ernie Ball custom, well it says custom gauge, they are 942s I believe. Why does it say 1142 on the front then? They're not 1142s, they're 942s. We can prove that by, tell you what, we'll open a packet, how's that? Always a good idea, isn't it? I'm down to my last 3 sets of these and I'm using 2 sets today and tomorrow, so I'm going to go and order some more. I might be moving up to I get Diodario 942s, a little bit cheaper than these. Yeah, but 942s. So going with a set of those, I will stretch the strings in, get the guitar set up. Hopefully we'll find that the nut slots are all absolutely fine. The wood looks pretty decent when I took the strings off, so I'm sure that's going to be okay. So we're going to get strung up, stretched in, and we'll get plugged in and see how we are. Welcome back, and I think now we are exactly where we need to be. I did have a problem with the input jack, it kept cutting out a little. I've just sorted that out. Then I can wiggle the jack and we're alright. Oh, there's a bit of cut out there, but seems fine. Yeah, we're now good. No crackle on the pots anymore. Really, really nice. Pickups are very high output. More output than I would personally like myself, but the guitar is beautiful. There you go, look at the finish on that. So to recap what we've done, this has had the full bit. We have levelled the frets, we've polished the frets, we've cleaned, degreased the fingerboard, I've tightened up all the tuners, I've set the radius on the saddles, I've also done the intonation, a few saddles needed moving about, tremolo's balanced, I've also altered the height of this pickup, fixed the electrics, we had scratching pots and some dodgy electrics, we've now sorted all that out, so this has had the full bit. I will put the strap back on and now get it back in its case. Lovely looking guitar. Like I say, it's not a Suhr, it is a Cort. The wiring in there looks like spaghetti junction drunk. It is all over the place, but it is all working. The guitar looks fabulous. Can't really complain or anything on that. So that is it. It is another project finished. So I shall wrap this one up, put it back in its box or back in its case, so to speak, let the owner know it's ready to pick up, and we'll move on to something else. So, as always, just looking for my remote control for my video. You know, the amount of times I put that down, I can't find it anywhere. Here it is, behind the guitar. So that's it, another one wrapped up, ready to move on to the next one. So, as always, in fact, I won't say that. Keep checking my website, fretfriend.co.uk or facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. That's facebook.com/NG17. So until the next time, be good to each other and I'll talk to you soon.